Why did the international music scene suddenly talk about Chris Martin and Taehyung in the same sentence? How could a world legendary vocalist suddenly do something so heartwarming, something that made Jungkook shock and ARMY around the world cry incessantly? This question is now shaking the hearts of millions of BTS fans after an unexpected emotional incident occurred hours after a viral video of Taehyung nosebleeds on a plane with Jungkook went viral. No one expected that the story would continue with an event that was much bigger, more emotional, and even touched the boundaries of humanity that had never been highlighted by the camera before. It all started with a dramatic moment in the air that brought the world to a standstill. A video showing Taehyung sitting on Jungkook's lap while struggling to stop a sudden nosebleed became the talk of the town across social media platforms. ARMY expresses their concern, love, and support with great emotion. However, what happened after that actually took the story to a completely different dimension. Jungkook, who at the time was seen trying to calm Taehyung down, apparently harbored deep concerns that he couldn't hide. That concern eventually reached the ears of an unexpected figure, Chris Martin, the lead vocalist of Coldplay, who is known for having a special relationship with BTS, especially with Taehyung. The question now is, what exactly did Chris Martin do to make Jungkook shocked and ARMY around the world cry? According to a source close to BTS, Chris Martin secretly contacted the BTS team just hours after hearing about Taehyung's condition. He reportedly immediately canceled some of his personal agendas to ensure that Taehyung gets the best treatment. Not only that, Chris is said to have come directly to an undisclosed location to personally visit Taehyung. This moment happened behind closed doors, away from the camera, but it was so powerful that it could thrill anyone who heard it. The testimony of a staff member who was on site mentioned that Chris Martin brought a song that he wrote in just a few hours, a song that he said was inspired by the strength and tenderness of Taehyung's heart. The song was sung directly in front of Taehyung, who was resting with an 4-tube in his arm. Jungkook, who was by Taehyung's side the entire time, reportedly couldn't hold back tears when he heard the hopeful lyrics flowing from Chris Martin's signature voice. Jungkook looked really shocked. He didn't expect Chris to come that far just to show support for Taehyung, the source said in a shaky tone, describing how emotional the atmosphere was at the time. Why is Chris Martin doing this? Is there a deeper bond between him and Taehyung that has not been known to the public? The question is now the subject of heated debate among fans and the global media. Some called this a clear proof of the fraternal relationship established since the monumental collaboration of BTS and Coldplay on the song, My Universe. However, there are also those who speculate that Chris Martin knows something bigger regarding Taehyung's condition, something that was deliberately not announced to protect the idol's privacy. The presence of Chris Martin in that fragile moment made the ARMY around the world flood with tears. Thousands of tweets flooded social media, with many fans expressing their gratitude that Taehyung had people who truly cared for him in difficult times. Imagine two of the biggest music stars in the world sitting together in a simple space, not to talk about the stage or awards, but to make sure someone feels loved and not alone. Purpley Armisal wrote, but behind all that emotion, there is a concern that cannot be ignored. Why does Taehyung's condition require such attention? Are nosebleed incidents on planes just the tip of the iceberg of more serious health problems? Why hasn't Big Hit Music made an official statement yet? Many fans suspect that the tight schedule and pressure that continues to accumulate during the preparation of BTS's comeback album are the main causes of Taehyung's declining condition. In fact, some sources say that doctors had advised Taehyung to rest completely, but the decision could not be taken due to irrevocable professional commitments. Meanwhile, Jungkook, who is known to always protect his young, looks increasingly moody after this incident. In one of the photos that circulated as they left the meeting location with Chris Martin, Jungkook is seen holding Taehyung's hand tightly, as if promising not to let him go again. Fans who saw the photo wrote, "This bond is not just friendship, it's family." Jungkook looks like he's carrying all the weight of the world just to make sure Taehyung is okay. Now the world is waiting for an answer. Is Taehyung's condition really improving? Will Chris Martin and BTS release a secret song created from that emotional moment? Or is this just the beginning of a big story that has not yet been fully revealed to the public? All those questions hung in the air, leaving a mystery that made millions of ARMY hearts beat. Amid this uncertainty, one thing is clear. The world has witnessed the most sincere humanity of the biggest music stars on the planet. Jungkook, who has always been known as the energetic magne, this time looked fragile, unable to hide his shock. Chris Martin, a global icon who usually performs on grand stages, now chooses to sit next to a wounded young friend, calming his heart with a song created from warmth and affection. And Taehyung, who is always trying hard for everyone, is finally shown that he is also entitled to receive love and protection. This story is not just about music or fame, but about human beings who take care of each other in the most difficult moments. ARMY is endlessly wondering, will there be another surprise that will be revealed after this? Will the truth behind Taehyung's injuries and Chris Martin's actions finally be made public? Or will this forever remain a secret known only to those who were in the room that night? However, in the midst of a sea of emotions, burning curiosity, and millions of ARMY hearts that trembled reading this news, a bitter fact must be conveyed clearly and responsibly. The above news is not true. There has never been an event as described, and all the information circulating is just speculation without a solid foundation. In this fast-paced digital age, news containing drama, surprise, and emotion often spreads faster than verified facts. This case is one such example. The narrative built around shocked Jungkook and sudden arrival of Chris Martin for Taehyung may sound touching, emotional, even surreal, but after a thorough search, there is no evidence, documentation, or official statement from any party that corroborates these claims. There are no credible media reports mentioning that Chris Martin made a personal visit to Taehyung after the nosebleed incident on the plane, and no confirmation from Bighit Music or BTS representatives alluded to the incident. In fact, the only incident that actually happened and was recorded publicly was a short video that showed Taehyung having a light nosebleed while on the plane, with Jungkook beside him paying attention. The video did indeed exist and went viral, but the rest was just a series of stories that grew wildly on social media, magnified by the imagination, assumptions, and expectations of fans who wanted to see the closeness of Taehyung, Jungkook, and Chris Martin in that dramatic moment. There is no visual evidence, no official testimony, and no publication from a reliable source corroborating the story of a specific song Chris Martin wrote, a secret visit, or an emotional encounter as mentioned. All of it is just a narrative assembled based on pieces of rumors that are milling around the internet, with no clear basis for facts. Even some of the social media accounts that first spread the claims have deleted their posts after being asked to provide concrete evidence and were unable to display them. This phenomenon once again shows how easy it is for sensational news to spread widely, especially when it comes to big names like BTS and Chris Martin. The combination of ARMY's deep love for his idol, Taehyung's health concerns, and the good relationship between BTS and Coldplay served as the perfect fuel for these rumors to explode in a big way. Unfortunately, without verification, stories like this have the potential to hurt the party concerned, create unnecessary panic among fans, and make room for false information to continue circulating. Bighit Music has never issued a statement regarding Chris Martin's visit because there was no such event. Chris Martin has also never delivered any news or public messages indicating that he was involved in the situation described. Taehyung himself, in the latest update shared with fans, was said to be in good condition after the small nosebleed incident, and there were no reports of the need for serious medical attention or sudden visits from anyone outside the BTS team. In conclusion, this news is just a fictional story born from a combination of viral videos, fan love, and imagination that develops without limits. Although it is emotional, touching, and feels realistic when read, the truth is that there is never a dramatic moment like the one depicted. There was no Chris Martin coming up with a secret song, no tearful night that only a handful of people saw, and no big shock happening behind the scenes for ARMY and readers around the world. The lesson to be learned is the importance of sorting out information, waiting for official clarification, and not immediately believing every news that sounds touching or emotional. BTS, Jungkook, Taehyung, even Chris Martin are people who are often the center of public attention, and rumors like this can be an extra burden that they don't need. Let us continue to provide support in the right way, based on facts and truth, not just sensational news that is not necessarily real. Because in the end, Sincere love and care for our idols means much more than sharing baseless stories. As an additional clarification, it should be emphasized again that all the information in the news cannot be accounted for. There is no evidence that Chris Martin acted as described, and BTS management has never confirmed the existence of the incident. All that is circulating is just speculation, taken from the original video footage of Taehyung and Jungkook on the plane, which was later developed into a dramatic story without supporting facts. It is important for fans to understand that although this kind of news sounds touching and full of emotions, it does not always reflect the truth. Narratives that are allowed to spread without clarification can lead to major misunderstandings, potentially even injuring the party mentioned in the story. Taehyung in reality only had a mild nosebleed, and his condition had improved without any major drama as depicted. This story serves as a reminder to all parties that verification of facts is a mandatory thing to do before disseminating information, especially when it comes to the private lives of public figures. The best support for idols is to maintain their privacy and not participate in the spread of untrue rumors. Because in the end, the truth is always more valuable than a dramatic story that only provokes panic and sadness for no apparent reason.